Meet Daniel, Thank you for wishing me a happy birthday. Special thanks to my wife, children, and friends over there. I want to use this occasion of my birthday to share my experience in economic and financial analysis, to see how we can assist the state to achieve results in economic developments, especially in achieving objective of employment generation, stable and sustainable growth, less inflation, equitable distribution of income, and stable or favorable balance of payments. Enjoy as you are listening to the talk. I believe that before you can contribute or prefer any policy or solution in economy, you must understand economy. So I will briefly discuss the meaning and basics of economics. Economics borders on process of production, distribution, consumption, exchange, and allocation of resources. It manages the scarce resources into best use. Sometimes we say it manages into put it into alternative use to produce goods and services that meets different or specific needs of the people or citizens in a state. You see all these terms I'm talking about, consumption, production, exchange, all these are called economic activities. This is what is expected to be done in economic settings. The scarce resources talk about national, any resources within our hand, even as individual or government, is limited. Our want is more than the resources. So the public revenue within the government cover is limited. The want of the people in the state are more than the resources. The economists believe that it has to be put into the best use so that it will meet our specific needs and of the people in the society. Economics is broadly studied in two branches, the macroeconomics and the microeconomics. The macroeconomics studies the generality of the economy, that is, the economy as a whole. Note that economics has three major units. The fourth unit is supposed to be the foreign sector, but it is believed that everything being equal, it will still falls into the three major units: the government units, the companies, and individuals. So the units here means where the economic activities happen. The causes of this to happen are within these three units, either as individual or as a company or as a government. Government really has responsibility of allocation of the resources, as well as the companies have secondary function of also allocation of the resources, even up to the individual. So from there, economic activities interrelate and interdepends. So causes and effects at economic as a whole. So at economic as a whole, the idea is that what's supposed to be effect at economics as a whole affects the entire economy. For instance, when the CBN recently uh, reduced the money supply, you find out that everybody lack cash. That is the idea of macroeconomics. When there is inflation, it affects every money and everybody in the economy. When there is high exchange rate, it affects value of domestic uh, currency, the money you have in your saving account everywhere. So macroeconomics is like that. It's very active. Once it's happened, it affects everybody. That aspect is called macroeconomics management. So all these things I'm mentioning are macroeconomic variable. Variable means those factors they keep changing over time. They vary over time. We call them variable. Macroeconomics has what is called objectives. Those objectives is what I just I just mentioned a few minutes ago. The sustainable and stable growth is the objective, less inflation, employment generation, equitable distributions of income or national resources, a stable or favorable balance of payments. All these are objectives of macroeconomics. So, one thing you need to understand, all these objectives happens at once. You cannot have stable and sustainable growth, then you have high inflation. You cannot have equitable distribution, then you have high rate of unemployment. There must be employment. When there is equitable distribution of income, the employment is already there. And you can, a domestic economy, equitable distribution of income is happening in the domestic economy. So balance of payment cannot be unfavorable. They must be active, because when every citizen is employed in the economy into active productive venture and distribution, there will be strong power of competition at the foreign trade, international trade. So there is no way um, balance of payment will not be stable. So all these things happen at once if economics is in good shape. So that is what you need to understand. So let's look at microeconomy. Microeconomics studies two units. Two units, the companies and the individual. I tell you, economy have majorly three units. The microeconomics studies the two unit, companies and individual. The variable, what does it study? The variables that affects the two units, which are the prices in the economy, the quantity of goods demanded and supplied forces. So the microeconomics studies these things. How it studies these things is that these variables are even actually used by the companies to determine their ability to enter, to remain in the market. So the data for these variables are always collected and studied. So the companies, individual fall under microeconomics. Now understand how industrializations happens in economic balance. So when the government say they want to industrialize this state, what do they really talk about? Industrialization simply means creations of the group of company in a particular sector or subsector of interest. Interest in the sense that, for instance, in Akwa Ibom State, we have a palm fruit subsector. Palm fruit subsector where we can have palm oil, palm kernel oil, and all that. So if you say you want to industrialize that sector, is to create companies that produce those things that we are related things like packaged material, all that happens. If you have that group of people, you have industry. But for now, you cannot say we have industry because the production dominating that area is informal, done by individual, unorganized firm, unregistered, formally firms, unorganized in the sense that there is no professional, formal companies that can provide services that guarantee sustainability, not just production. If you just do the production, other services like financial services, managerial experience, prospects for growth is not there. It's all about inefficiency dominating the area. You cannot even track what they are doing. So for now, there's no industry there. So now you know that this is the careful studying of macroeconomics will enable you to industrialize. So the question is that how do you create these industries? This has been the problems of the states. Many governments have come and go, promise, and then tried, then they fail. Maybe the approach they use does not suit economics theory preferred. So that will lead us into how economy can produce, not how a business or company can produce. There's difference between how a business, when we were in school, they say after the definition of economy, you enter, they ask what to produce, how to produce, then they come to how to produce, they say technology. No, that one is in the company aspect. Now, the first question to answer is how economy can produce, because the system in which is used in production in economy ties to the political system. So the political system depends on the power that be, and the economic system depends on that too. So when the power of a state, the political system of a state does not allow a particular economic system, it affects how to produce. So we'll look at economic systems in our next video, so that we will know which economic system, how should this to produce will determine how companies can be created in each subsectors, how government can achieve industrialization easily when you understand the economic system. So the next discussion will center on that. But to tip a little is that in the current economic system, current in the sense in the 21st century, you know that company that are producing are the ones that has capability in capital and financial market. Not just capital, but must have capability, productive ability in capital and in financial market. So which the question is, which economic system will promote this concept of creating companies like this? Which economic system? So we'll look at all these things. By the time we discuss various economic systems, you'll be able to see which economic system can support this. That if you create a company does not have ability in capital and in financial market, that means that company itself is not sustainable. So watch out our next video to understand the economic system. Economic system means how economy can start producing before company join in producing. The first point is that economy as a whole society of a state will say this is how we will produce, before a unit will now say okay, this is how I will produce in line with how the state wants us to produce. So thank you very much for spending your time to watch this video. Watch out the economic system discussion in our next video. Thank you.